Welcome back to my channel and आज हम जो कर रहे हैं is something very interesting. We've taken this sort of commitment to real conversation and we've taken it to a bigger stage. We are talking to, well, you know from the title, we're talking to Shahid Kapoor. Shahid Kapoor is one of those actors that's like, as long as I've been alive, I've been watching Shahid Kapoor. I remember watching some of his early sad family drama movies, right? And then I remember watching Jab Bhi Met, and then Kameene and Haidar and all the stuff he's gotten in trouble for. You know what I'm saying? But the fun part about this is, I was kind of afraid. I was like, अगर मैं शाहिद के साथ ऐसे raw बात करने जाऊंगा, how used to are these guys with interviews, इनका इतना ऐसा curated promotional cycle रहता है. What will happen if I just let loose and see where the conversation will go? And bro, fantastic boss, like so under it. किसी को पता ही नहीं है शाहिद का ये side. Nobody knows that if you let Shahid Kapoor talk, this is what he will say. Because for the longest time, the industry has only been interested in gossip. The promotional cycles have only been into Shahid. आपको इस बारे में क्या कहना है? Like that kind of shit. And so interesting to see the man behind the performer. So interesting. And this is what we do here at Round. We take people and we bring out the real ideas, the real emotions, the real stories, things that they actually experience, things they cannot mask behind an interview, things that the host does not mask for the guest behind their interview questions. And this is working very well. So get your food, go out for a walk, put your ritual in. अगर आप खाना खाने वाले हो, खाना ऑर्डर करो, खाना ऑर्डर करके ऑन करो, या अगर आप खाना नहीं खाने वाले, आप वॉक पे जाओ. Go, look at the beautiful stuff. Hear some of the birds. If you're not in Delhi, outside is beautiful. And put this in your ear. Make this part of your day and watch Shahid Kapoor on Prakhar Gupta Experience, raw and completely real. Make sure the paps don't see you sneeze. It'll be news tomorrow. Shahid sneezes on the set.
Damn, bro.
Damn, bro. How many, what is this, number 4, number 5 for today?
No, this is number 2.
Number 2.
Number 2.
Promotions
Nice
get heavy
and fresh
like that.
for you, brother.
Okay,
Nice and fresh.
thank God, brother. Sometimes I sit with like you actors and they're like 8th or 9th event of the day and they're so tired at that point.
I get it.
And
But I noticed how you said you actors, you podcasters. I tell
yeah,
you.
you can do that. I'll
Nice
be
to
okay
see
with
you,
that.
Prakhar.
Dude.
Nice to see you.
I'm not looking for status in
I
my
love how we're
profession.
matching costumes without, the color tones are so well matched without having any idea that this was going to happen.
Except the
It's
cleavage.
the Delhi connection.
Except the cleavage. I
You can't
couldn't
match
reply.
it, bro. Let's be honest. It'll take you a while to shave all that hair off.
Dude, you're a very good looking guy in person.
Really? Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate
Wait,
it.
let me fix the mic for you.
You want me to come a little closer? Or
No,
how do you
just
want
move it with you. If you move back and forth, no, just
Okay,
like
got
pull it and you want to keep it a
Perfect.
fist distance. So
Perfect.
like lift it up a little bit. Himanshu, you'll fix it, no?
बट फिर मेरी क्लीवेज छुप जाएगी ना वो थोड़ी कर सकते हैं हम
वो नहीं कर सकते दूसरा एंगल ले ले एक और. We gotta get
just
the
focus on the right stuff buddy
we gotta get the jewels.
you want your views to go up and all yeah come on focus now
Yes.
intellect only goes that far buddy
I've heard, man. Actually, that is what I want. So, first of all, I don't know if my team told you, I have no questions. I come with no questions. This is not how I do podcasts. There's no sense of interview here.
makes it, I have no answers you have no questions this is going to be fantastic
Perfect. And but right before you said that, I was thinking about it. Is it not insane to you how much people have to be involved in your life for you to do your art peacefully?
what do you mean when you say that like can you
I mean,
break
I
it
saw the
up?
paps outside.
Yeah, of course.
And like we were cracking this joke about you sneezing.
Yeah.
And this sort of overemphasis कि भाई शाहिद की लाइफ में क्या हो रहा है? And
as in everything's magnified
yeah,
where everybody's got a magnifying glass on you
yeah.
so the outside perspective is what you're saying
हाँ.
and the inside perspective गिर रहा है तेरा mic
हाँ, उसका गिर रहा है थोड़ा सा प्लीज. हाँ, माइक गिर रहा है. I think this handle is a little loose.
Perf, thank you mate ठीक है तो ना नीचे नहीं आ सकता ये
थोड़ा नीचे कर दे.
हाँ बस ठीक है
एक्चुअली ये यहाँ से रिकॉर्ड होगा यहाँ से
तो
record
ठीक है ना
हाँ,
सो दिस
ठीक है.
लेवल इज गुड फॉर यू ना ब्रो
चेक कर लियो.
this should be
हाँ ठीक
Yeah,
है
that should
ओके
be fine,
awesome so like what I was saying is that the outside perspective of course is like यार एक बंदे पर इतना ज़्यादा इतने सारे लोग और ये the inside perspective is that everybody's got eyes on you so eventually you have to learn to normalize that or to neutralize that or to ignore that or to create a certain relaxed comfort with that. It's so strange that this is exactly what I was talking. Me and my manager were discussing that eventually as an actor when you enter a scenario, there is a certain heightened sense of things because of your presence. So the person who brings in that kind of a reaction, so to say, must also do the best that they can to create a sense of ease and relaxation so things can go back to normal and you can actually flow in the way that life usually naturally flows.
So you have to constantly hold the fort down. Is that what you're saying? Because I'm not sure I follow.
I feel that it's very different for everybody. Every individual is different. Every actor is different. Every important person, celebrity, or person who's in the spotlight, so to say, has their own way of dealing with it. I have been doing this for 22, 23 years. So I have had various phases of dealing with it differently. And with the amount of time that I have had behind me, I have kind of realized कि जितना नॉर्मल रख सकते हो उतना नॉर्मल रखो, जितना रिलैक्स्ड रह सकते हो उतना रिलैक्स्ड रहो, बिकॉज आई एम रियली समबडी हु बिलीव्स दैट द हाईएस्ट फ्रीक्वेंसी इज ऑथेंटिसिटी. So, and I think it takes many years to finally be yourself and allow yourself to be yourself. And once you're comfortable with who you are or where you are, it doesn't really matter what's happening around you, right? Because you're comfortable. And what defines your kind of tide, so to say, or state of being, so to say, is how you're feeling. Otherwise you're usually just triggered by circumstances. Sometimes it's very subtle. Like when you have coffee, it's subtle. If you have a hard drink, it's a harder kick. But that stimulation is what is defining your behavior, as opposed to your own energy kind of honing the way you want to be. And I feel like that's something that's very important to me now. And I try my best to be very mindful of it and do it on a daily basis, because it's not a natural state. It requires daily correction, or you need to pay attention to it every day.
So let me see if I understand what you're saying. You're saying that basically environment is programming you to respond or react to it with all the stimuli that's coming your way. And the right thing to do is land into your own center, your own frequency, so that you are not triggered by coffee as an example or hard drink as an example, but also just the massive wave of things that might be coming at you at all points.
Yeah, of course.
That's what you're trying to say.
Because then you're in the middle of a storm, right? You have to learn to be the eye of the storm, because there is so much, let's say, like just reactivity, acceleration, heightened response or behavior around you. So if it is triggered by you, then the person to control it also has
to be you.
Has to be you.
Right.
Otherwise, how will it happen otherwise?
Right. It's also very interesting about authenticity. And I have a sense, I was speaking to your wife yesterday and she was mentioning how you are, by the way. She speaks so, like you can tell
She spoke well for me?
Yeah, which is, I don't know how.
buddy.
Maybe
moment है ये, moment है.
But, and she was...
दो दिल्ली वालों ने किसी की तारीफ कर दी, oh shit यार, I'm special. वैसे पैदा तो मैं भी वही हुआ था.
दो दिल्ली वालों ने मिलकर तीसरे वाले की तारीफ कर दी.
Shit, now you made it public also, bro. Game over हो गया था.
अब तो आपको जाके पता लगेगा घर पे और मेरे को जाके
कर क्या रहे हो तुम? नाम खराब कर रहे हो हम लोगों का. ये होने वाला है.
I hope एक दिन my wife calls you up and says the same about me in some way. But you know how rare that is.
Yeah, so this is not a very comfortable feeling that I have no in into your personal space, and you've already spoken to my wife. Yeah.
This is my first question exactly.
Yeah.
Because it is always this ना, लोगों को पता है where Shahid's been,
Yeah.
right? शायद को नहीं पता where people have been, and it's this parasocial relationship
It
we
is,
experience
yes.
in this small little way also.
Yes, it is.
And frankly, ठीक है यार, the cost of doing this for so many people and getting their adulation and love, okay, I'm fine with it if they're a little invested. I do think a little bit of it is a problem because I think your industry is at a point where अब वो PR cycle manufacture करी जाती है and people go against each other.
Yeah.
And for anybody who has any access to how camera works,
Yeah.
you can look at it and be like, ये fake है भाई, ये नहीं हुआ भाई यार.
Exactly.
But the world does get convinced.
That's the antithesis. No, I don't think so anymore.
Huh.
So the antithesis is it's that cycle of exactly what you're saying of creating consumption and creating perception based on content and trying to control perception based on content. And at a certain point in time, people become self-aware of the fact that they are getting influenced by something. Then they start questioning the something that's creating a certain narrative in their head. And then they want to be mindful of the narrative that they want to create. And then they start calling out the spaces where they feel there is a lack of authenticity in the narrative, and it is not what they want to feel, but they are being told to feel something.
Exactly, bilkul.
And I think now we've reached a place where that is falling on its face.
It's very annoying to be treated like a child.
It's back to being authentic.
Yeah.
That's how I see it. I love it like that. And I want to because I was always very kind of not sold into this whole thing of, all the drama that, all the the amount of control that people try to exercise. Because see, I essentially now at my heart I'm an artist. If the applause is manufactured, ये ताली बजा, तो मेरा तो क्राफ्ट क्या है, जीरो है ब्रो, फायदा नहीं है. चलेगा 2 बार लोगों ने ताली नहीं बजाई, जिस बार बजाई मुझे पता है दिल से बजाई, तो मेरे लिए तो वो एक्सपीरियंस बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. बिकॉज एट an artist, essentially, if he is doing something for himself, then it's personal, right? It's about his personal satisfaction. But when he's doing it on a public platform, he wants to see an authentic reaction, that applause, that appreciation, recognition, respect, whatever you want to call it. It has to come from the same place that the artist expressed himself, which is from his heart, from his being, from his authenticity. If this, the very foundation of that actor audience relationship is that there are so many people sitting in that theater. Let's talk about a regular desi hard guy जो अपनी ज़िंदगी में स्ट्रगल कर रहा है. उसकी फैमिली है, उसके बच्चे हैं, उसके स्ट्रगल्स हैं, उसके चैलेंजेस हैं. ही इज़ ट्राइंग टू कीप अप एंड ही इज़ ट्राइंग टू सर्वाइव. वो थिएटर जाता है, आपके लिए सीटी बजाता है, ताली बजाता है. वो अपने लिए नहीं बजा पाता यार. ये बहुत बड़ी बात है. ये चीज़ ना लोग समझते नहीं है, दैट दिस इज़ अ वेरी इट्स लाइक अ मिरेकल ऑफ लाइफ, दैट अ रूम फुल ऑफ पीपल आर एक्चुअली क्लैपिंग एंड अप्रिशिएटिंग एंड whistling and kind of acknowledging you and kind of giving you this status which is above their own. They're putting you above themselves in the moment to give you that, right? And I think that's a very beautiful thing. It's very special, and that's why art is so special, you know. तो उसकी जब प्योरिटी थोड़ी डिसरप्ट होने लगती है और उसके अंदर एक मैन्युफैक्चर्ड चीज़ आने लगती है, तो वो ना फिर किसी मार्केटिंग तो करनी है. मार्केटिंग तो हर आदमी करता है, तू भी करता है, मैं भी करता हूँ. एवरी जॉब रिक्वायर्स मार्केटिंग. बट व्हेन डज मार्केटिंग स्टार्ट क्रॉसिंग दैट लाइन ऑफ you know what is right and what is wrong, how much is too much? It's really about that. And that comes from your own personal sense of morality and right and wrong, if you are choosing to work from that place. If it is just business and just numbers, then it's just business and just numbers. Then then that's your experience of life. But if you are seeking something authentic and something human from it, something spontaneous from it, then you should know where to let it happen. Don't try and control it.
Right. I think one of the most under-discussed aspects of the human condition is that humans inherently want to forget they will die. And what I mean by that is and I cracked this joke recently on a show. Somebody's like, यार वो stoicism में ऐसा होता है ना, memento mori, remember death. I want the opposite of that. I said उसी को साहित्य में Instagram reels कहा गया है, क्योंकि आप reels scroll करते हुए for a brief while you suspend where you are and enter those small 60-second worlds. The same thing happens in a cinema. When I see you do an action sequence, for a brief while, I'm not Prakhar. I'm what the character Shahid's playing. Shahid's representing that, and for a brief second, my reality and its constraints don't matter.
It's called the willing suspension of disbelief.
Right.
That's the definition of cinema.
Yes.
Which essentially is that you willingly suspend the knowledge of the fact that what you're watching is not real. So you allow yourself to fundamentally believe something which you know is not real.
Right.
That's
you
the
allow
beauty
yourself to be seduced in a way.
I mean, it becomes real for you in the moment, therefore it draws a reaction and it can draw a very strong emotional response. Because in the moment you're so connected and focused on it that it feels real. That how else do you define reality? Only what you're conscious of is real, right? What you're not conscious of is not real.
Right.
Even though it's real, it's not real because you can't feel it or sense it.
Right.
So that's cinema. So in the moment, the story and the beat, the emotion, the whatever has consumed you, and you connect with it almost like you would connect with something in your real life. So that's what it is. And this whole 60-second thing that you're talking about, which is the scrolling aspect of things or the the screen aspect of things. In fact, there was a really interesting thing that I was reading where they were talking about the fact that how people's memories are changing forever, because the minute you get on a phone for a certain period of time, it disconnects you from the moment before you were on the phone and from the moment after you were on the phone. And therefore, when you look back at the way that your day played out, you don't have a continuity and flow to how your day played out.
Right.
Apparently, they did an experiment on somebody who stopped using a phone for a couple of years, and his brain scans completely shifted because the way that his brain was storing memory had a certain continuity to it, as opposed to now how the brain is storing everything in smaller pockets. Which is also kind of explains why people are unable to watch long form the way that they used to, because of the nature in which that things are getting stored now. पहले एक आदत की बात होती है ना, आप एक चीज़ करते रहोगे उसकी आदत पड़ जाती है, because brain is all about patterns, habits are all about patterns, So that's just what we're doing to ourselves.
Yeah, is the film industry aware that the real competition they have is not from anything else except the fact that people have lost the ability to travel 20 minutes?
Bro, it's the same brain, it's the same person, it's the same society in which the audience and the creators or the artists live in. We live in the same world. हम लोग कोई हायर ग्राउंड पे तो रह नहीं रहे हैं.
हाँ, right.
तो जो तेरे दिमाग के साथ हो रहा है वही मेरे दिमाग के साथ हो रहा है. जो हमारा ये शो तेरा देख रहा है उसके दिमाग के साथ जो हो रहा है वो मेरे साथ भी हो रहा है ना.
Right.
हमारी हैबिट्स तो वही हैं.
Right.
तो दोनों तरफ से वाट लग रही क्योंकि
लगेली है.
कैंडल इज बर्निंग फ्रॉम बोथ एंड्स.
Right.
बिकॉज जो देखने वाला है उसकी पेशेंस खत्म हो रही है, उसका माइंड it needs stimulation constantly. You're not able to focus and zone into one thing for a longer period of time. You need a break because it's a dopamine hit, right? जो बना रहा है वो भी अपने साथ यही कर रहा है, तो वो जब फोकस करके काम कर रहा है उसकी एबिलिटी टू क्रिएट भी कॉम्प्रोमाइज हो रही है. ऐसा नहीं है कि सिर्फ ऑडियंस कम फिल्में देखना चाह रही है या कुछ ऐसा हो गया है. हम फिल्में उतनी अच्छी बना भी नहीं रहे जितनी बनानी चाहिए. तो ये टू वे प्रोसेस है. तो यू सी सम ऑफ द ग्रेटेस्ट फिल्म मेकर्स इन हॉलीवुड वो फ़ोन ही नहीं रखते साथ में अपने.
Because
Christopher Nolan says this, that he hardly has a phone on him because he wants to protect them. I don't know what his reasons are,
Sure.
but he's probably protecting the creative kind of system that or the way in which his neurons are functioning or the brain is firing or the connections that it's making or how he is able to create. So I think this is true.
Yeah, I think it is an inevitability. आज मैं किसी के साथ I was doing we are kind of co-writing a paper on the next 30 years of Indian psychosociology, how the mind and brain will frame, and they were talking about some of the cultural shoots and political ये कैसे होगा वो कैसे होगा. I was like, one of the bigger things that's going to happen is that being on the internet will become uncool. Like I think 2 generations, Gen Alpha के नीचे 2 generations later, anybody who has a digital footprint.
Optimistic बंदा है यार, मतलब
हो सकता है.
तेरा optimism.
मैं जवान हूँ ना,
You
बेवकूफी
look at
allowed है.
life in this very beautiful way, यार. How?
I think
You
it has.
think it's going to happen, really?
I think there'll be a counterculture. I think you can already see it in the fact that comedy shows are making so much more money because people are like, देख मेरे को स्क्रीन पे नहीं बैठना, मैं रियल लाइफ में जाके 25 लोगों के बीच में बैठ के कुछ एक्सपीरियंस करना चाहता हूँ.
That's true.
Sporting events will make a comeback in that the World Cup for football will re-energize people जो बीच में थोड़ा सा डिस्टेंस आ गया था. Because also what has happened शायद is that culture has been fragmented so much कि हर आदमी एक अलग साइलो में जी रहा है. मेरे बचपन का बेस्ट फ्रेंड और मैं, we don't consume the same memes. So our language has completely shifted.
But it's also insular, na? What you're talking about, the fact that when you are fundamentally educating yourself, which is I think what most of us are doing, we are educating ourselves on the internet, which is what, you go to a doctor and the first thing that the doctor tells you is, please don't go and check what's wrong with you on Google.
Yeah.
Please don't do that, right? That's the first thing the doctor says because he knows कि तू जाएगा तो अपना कुछ एक अपना ही वो निकाल लेगा. ठीक है?
Cancer ही
And
होगा
on the
तेरे को
basis
पक्का.
of जो 10 तूने searches कर ली, your final definition है भैया मेरे साथ ये है, डॉक्टर को समझ में नहीं आ रहा, एक्चुअली तो मेरे साथ ये है. Now you've convinced yourself mentally. Now you're kind of ensuring that you manifest it almost, so to say, right? But कहाँ थे हम?
We're talking about fragmentation and insular culture.
Yes.
Right.
So the insular culture is basically when we used to in the past sit in a room on a table with 7 or 8 people, friends, colleagues, strangers, and you would have a conversation. A topic would come up like how you and me are talking, and everybody would share their views on it, right? And there would be a much broader scope for acceptance of different point of views because you were always having conversations like that. Topics were being explored like that. Now you are exploring things individually with an algorithm. What is that algorithm doing? It is giving you more of what you're asking it to do. So by virtue of that, your perspective is becoming more insular because it is giving you more of what you believe in, giving you more of what you're interested in, giving you more of whatever it is that is feeling right for you, as opposed to giving you the counter perspective on it,
Right.
and telling you this is what you think and then this is the counter perspective on it. So if we really want the internet to start doing the right stuff, I think it should give you information which is a lot more wholesome, and artificial intelligence should be able to give you 5 different perspectives so that your mind can accept the fact that you're not right all the time. And that's what's happening. I feel like people fight and disagree with each other, and the amount of social interactions that we used to have are reducing because it's just more comfortable to talk to something that just gives you more of what you want.
Yeah.
But with human beings, I'm not going to get what I want. I'm not going to enter this conversation and it's not going to exactly be what I want it to be because you're going to say, hey bro, this is 2 people in the room. I'm also going to talk about what I want to talk about, right? And that is how it should be. That is actually the healthier way for things to be.
And I think when it actually occurs, people enjoy it more also. They just don't know it yet. And I don't think कि भाई ये platforms, they're incentivized to hold you on them, right? They will never give you the counterfactual because the counterfactual will piss you off and you leave the platform.
They want you to consume more of them.
Yeah,
Right? It's very
right.
simple. So they will give you what you want.
Right.
But what you want is not always what you need, right?
Yes.
And so that can only come from another person.
मेरे को ऐसा लगता है कि जैसे मेरे पेरेंट्स when I was young they tell me अच्छे दोस्त बनाया करो. मैं अपने बच्चों को बोलूंगा अच्छा एल्गोरिथम पाला करो बेटा.
That's true.
Right.
That's true. There has to be a counter narrative to how algorithms are put together in the first place.
Right.
There has to be a social aspect. There has to be a human aspect. There has to be a democratic aspect to it, which I don't think exists right now.
Yeah, I don't know if democratic aspect में ना you again end up at the mass and I don't think the mass truly understands. Many years ago, I hosted this professor at the college I was in, and he'd done research on how young minds get affected by social media and how young girls particularly develop anxiety way sooner and way more because of the comparative aspect of social media. And this is under 12 girls who are exposed to Instagram for prolonged periods of time, right? And
But that's stimulation now, bro. The minute it's like, your state of mind is like the tides of the ocean, right? So the more pebbles you throw inside the water, the more ripples it creates. The more ripples it creates, when there are multiple ripples coming very close to each other, it feels like anxiety. That's all it is.
what was the last spiritual book you read, boss?
I actually heard a really nice conversation of yours with Satya Speaks.
Oh, you did?
I loved it, man. It was
You
so
have
nice.
to meet Satya.
I would love to. I would
Yeah.
love to. I mean, I listen to his stuff very often, and I find his perspectives so interesting. And I've learned so much from listening. He speaks so well, and so it was highly enjoyable that one conversation of yours specifically.
I think
Apart from the one you had with my wife, which was better than that. It
yeah, I think so too.
was the best.
I honestly feel like
Nothing better.
the two Delhiites who've done
another level
great
of
stuff for your wife is you and I.
Yeah.
We put her on the map. She's gonna kill you both.
She's gonna kill you, bro.
I will
She's
survive
gonna be
this.
like,
I'm
Prakhar, nobody knew you till I came on your show. Just watch her say it.
Hey, you get that
She's
so
a Virgo,
right.
buddy. She's a Virgo. You don't know what you're getting into. Both my kids and my wife, they're all three Virgos.
Oh shit.
Yeah. Don't mess with them.
With Satya, he's basically a hermit who lives so far away. Like it's very difficult to locate where he lives. So we had to negotiate with him a lot. And then I went to his hut, and in that hut, he just lives and does art.
Oh, so you did the podcast in his hut?
Yeah.
Oh,
And
nice.
where the location is, I cannot reveal because he
Fair
likes
enough.
to not be found.
That's
Right? And then I think what is unique about him, because I've enjoyed spiritual literature a lot, after Osho, the only person who has a very novel take on life from the spiritual angle is this guy. And he's not nearly as popular.
Yeah.
Nobody knows him. He got one clip that went viral. People loved that clip.
Yeah.
And then I think the podcast kind of exposed him to a few more people. But he's fantastic, worth listening to.
I totally agree. Lovely.
You know what I also think about authenticity, because you were talking about this? I think the way in which AI will hit all of this will be so heavy that the only choice that will be left is authenticity. Secondly, I think also this, and this is true for content, what I'm realizing now is for so long.
But how do we know what's authentic? Again, we keep having this conversation, but eventually, if you're having a digital experience with a non-live entity, which exists in nature by virtue of human beings and doesn't naturally exist by virtue of nature, by the creative power itself, then how can that teach you authenticity? It can't. It's fake authenticity. It's again going to be a reflection of a reflection.
But you don't think that's true for cinema also?
So cinema is meant to express humanity. It's meant to expose characters, behavioral patterns, right or wrong. It's meant to do various things. It's meant to celebrate a certain emotion in a heightened manner. So, cinema is very different here. Cinema is storytelling. Storytelling is how cultures, societies, surnames, religions, everything has survived only because of storytelling. You remove storytelling from our society, and I don't know how things would progress.
No, I agree.
So that is how everything is able to have its own history or to have a base on which you build on. Like, where do I come from? Who am I? Cinema tells you those stories, right?
I agree.
And sometimes where things can go.
Right.
So it's imagination.
But, I grew up early 2000s. I grew up in that generation that was largely frustrated by cinema because we were like, boss, मैं हर बार पिक्चर देखने जाता हूँ, मेरे को हर बार सेम प्यार की कहानी
old are
repackage.
you?
I'm 30.
You're
I'm 30 next
30.
month. हाँ.
Oh.
So like every time I go there, it's the same formulaic. Like अगर एक बंदा मिलिट्री में भी है ना, उसका भी लव एंगल और लव सॉन्ग्स उतना ही इंपॉर्टेंट है, which added in fact to my image of inauthenticity.
पर तू थोड़ा सा इंटेलेक्चुअल बंदा भी तो है ना.
हाँ.
वो तेरी पर्सनालिटी भी वैसी है. आई हैव सीन दैट यू आर वेरी इंटेलेक्चुअल इन नेचर. यू आर वेरी माइंड ओरिएंटेड. योर माइंड, दैट्स माय ऑब्जर्वेशन. आई माइट बी रॉन्ग, बट दैट्स व्हाट आई हैव सीन, दैट इंफॉर्मेशन एंड फैक्ट्स एंड knowing things really is it comes across as one of your primary features as a person.
Sure.
So sometimes films are not about that. Sometimes films are flighty. Sometimes they're a little romanticizing something, and there are a lot of people who want that also in life.
Agreed.
They want to step away from everything. They just want I think these kids call this brain rot. I still don't know what it is. My kids keep saying brain rot.
Have they said 6-7 yet?
Yes, every day. Yesterday we were watching the match and the score was 67 and my son's like 6-7.
This is
And
viral.
apparently
This is
our kids our age always say sorry, not kids.
You can't say
our
kids
age,
anymore,
but like
boss.
मैं adult ही बोल रहा था यार, गलती से निकल गया मुंह से यार. I'm very aware of my age, bro. Don't worry.
Being in the profession, I'm very
I'm aware of what my age is, and I'm aware of what I'm supposed to project, and I'm aware of how I would prefer to be, and I'm aware of how I have to be. सब पता है. ये सब सही चल रहा है simultaneously. But क्या कह रहा था मैं? हाँ, brain rot. मैं भूल गया उससे पहले मैंने क्या बोला.
Brain rot is basically digital abyss. Is no sense, short entertainment. It's what we adults call dopamine loops. जहाँ ये फंस
So a
जाते
lot
हैं.
of people also watch content for that purpose. They want to switch their brain off and just have a I don't need to think too much about it kind of experience, and that's their choice. I have my own way of consuming content. Like me and Mira rarely consume the same content. हम अलग अलग चीज़ें देखते हैं. बड़ी सारी पिक्चरें जो बहुत चलती हैं जो मुझे नहीं समझ में आती, and that's okay because it's for everybody ना. And different minds, different creative energies are creating different types of content, and जिसकी जो audience है उसको वहाँ मिल जाएगी. You'll find your tribe. It's basically that. तो उसमें तो वैसे ही होता है.
Right. It's help me understand this authenticity bit a little bit more, because I'll tell you why I'm asking. First, as an actor, where your job is literally to take on a character that's not yours and you may do it from the inside of you, but also as an actor where your job is to service the audience, in which you and I are common. मेरे को भी एक audience को service करना है. You have to also serve a larger, bigger audience. The constant pressure I experience is, मैं ये हूँ, the audience wants me to be this, and there is this tussle constantly going on. Does that happen similarly with people who do acting?
Yes.
Right. And
To
then
some
how do
degree,
you
yeah, that's absolutely true.
how do you work with that psychologically?
यार मैं तो एक्टर हूँ ना, मैं तो स्क्रिप्ट नहीं लिखता,
हाँ ठीक.
मैं तो बनाता नहीं, मैं तो परफॉर्म करता हूँ. तो आई एम एक्चुअली लेबर फॉर हायर.
Yeah, sure. Very
It's
glorified.
true, in a very privileged place, but
Right.
that is my job.
Right.
I am hired to do something that somebody else has written and somebody else wants to create, and somebody else is paid for it. So my role there, I have to first understand my position. I should not try and look at it in a way and give myself, because I have the stardom, I have power, but that power doesn't justify my that position should not get affected by the power that my job gives me. I still have to stay within the boundaries of my role.
Right.
I have to respect that.
Right.
Of course, experience teaches you to be a better collaborator and bring more value on the table with whatever you have that you have gained over time, wherever it is required or asked for. Of course, that value addition happens, and that's, I think, true for most professions, because experience is experience. Nothing can take the place of experience. All the knowledge in the world, it's like they say there are two types of people, and you have to decide whose car you want to sit in. One guy who's doesn't know anything about the car or about driving, but has driven his whole life, and the other guy who knows everything about cars and driving but has never driven a car. Who do you rather drive with?
Yeah, the former.
Right. So experience, that's experience. No amount of theory can justify or take the place of experience. But other than that, that's my limitation. I can create within the boundaries provided to me. I don't define the playing field. I can
So you have
play.
to be authentic within the playing field.
हाँ,
is what
मतलब
you're saying.
ये गार्डन है बेटा, इसके अंदर तुझे जितना खेलना है खेल ले. इसके बाहर तू नहीं जा सकता.
Right.
उसके बाहर जाने की तेरी वो नहीं है, जगह नहीं है. तो वो तो सच है ना, एज एन एक्टर.
But also, there is a third element with you. So there is art, there is the person, but there is also the perception. और वहां पे अगर suppose I remember early on, forgive me if I'm wrong, you were chocolate boy, you know, clean shaven, this that. Say you don't relate to that. Say you're a rugged guy inside. Say you're a man's man.
Yeah.
अब वो perception बन गया है.
But I have had that journey. So for me, your biggest strength is your biggest weakness. Okay. And when you recognize and understand that truly, it sets you free because you stop justifying everything that you do. And at the same time, you stop critiquing yourself for doing what comes naturally to you. Because you accept yourself for how you are. And you know that there are pros and cons to the same thing.
Help me understand this more. I'm not sure.
Your biggest strength is your biggest weakness. ये तो Spider-Man भी बोलता है.
वो तो हाँ 50 बातें बोलता है. Spider-Man is no soul for
तो वहीं से आया है ये वाली लाइन तो वहीं से आई है.
देखो भाई मैं मूवी से लाया लाइन. एक गेम ऑफ थ्रोन्स का लाइन भी दो ना.
No, because we live in the realm of duality, buddy. There's day and night, there's man and woman. You know, we are not in the realm of singularity. So, so there will be two aspects of everything. Like they say, there are two sides of the same coin. Your best quality can be your worst quality. It really depends on how you use it. You know, so your biggest strength is your biggest weakness. It really depends on how you use it. What was our context again?
The context was perception.
मेरे को कॉफी पीने की जरूरत है because 3 बार मैं भूल गया हूँ कि मैं था कहाँ.
कॉफी और उसमें प्रोटीन शेक डलवा देना. I'm joking. Just get coffee.
Bro, प्रोटीन शेक और कॉफी अगर मेरे साथ में पी ली ना तो यहाँ बैठ नहीं पाएगा.
Paps सुन लो paps.
थोड़ा exhaust.
वो लाइट फ्लिकर कर रही है पीछे
It's a bad combination, guys. Just in case you didn't know.
No, I meant the perception thing, and I'll tell you why. I personally,
I still don't think we've closed that topic.
Yeah, that's the same thing I was building on. But go on, please tell me about.
No,
the
but
perception.
finish it. Bring me back to where we were so that I
we
can
were talking
finish.
about perception, and so there is art and perception. The third thing is perception, and I'm wondering just. मतलब मेरे को लगता है कि चलो ठीक है मैं तो फिर भी
But it's an interactive relationship. You know what I'm saying? Like I am not who I was yesterday. I am a new version of me tomorrow, right? So if you are not changing and if you're not growing, that's not necessarily a good thing. You have to constantly evolve because life is happening. You know, if you're static, life passes you by. We all know that. We sense it. We experience it in life. We're really good, but we're not growing, and then other things are better. And you're like, oh my God, what just happened?
Right.
You know, so because you're good, but you're not growing, you're not evolving, you're not adapting, you're not changing, right? And the best thing in life is that when you are able to discover and grow and become a more evolved version of yourself. I think that is essentially the most important journey in life to have. And therefore, if you're not listening to the voices around you, if you're not being able to get a sense of where the audience is at, what's the noise around you, what's the response and the reaction to your action, what is your reaction to somebody else's action, are you still reacting the same way, or are you learning to respond, are you still just reacting? All those things are also a part of the creative journey of a person. So I must also keep growing and evolving, and listening to the voices around me is equally important. The voices that don't feel right are the voices that are probably, you know, either the voices that will help me become a better version of myself, or they are the voices that are not for me. They are not authentic to me. They might be authentic to somebody else. That's again a very personal choice that you can choose to make. You know, you can very easily limit yourself by convincing yourself that these voices are not for me, and therefore you stay where you are and you might not grow. Or you might constantly be chasing to become somebody who you just are not, because you're listening so much to the noise that you actually lose connection with who you truly are. And you're only trying to make other people happy. So it's a very, very subtle, very, very personal, very, very complex kind of choice and relationship that you have to have with your surroundings.
I think this is the struggle. You've painted it very well. This is the struggle of an ambitious person. Okay? They set out into the world from whatever context.
Or an emotional person also, Prakhar.
Sure.
Somebody for whom relationships and other people matter. For whom just their own happiness is not enough. They are engaging and interacting with life.
Right, okay?
Right? There is somebody, like you said, there are people who are like hermits. They've created a reality for themselves, and they are largely living in that reality. There's not that much that they are connecting with. They are more within themselves.
Right.
But the truth is that we have both realities. The fact that you're in physical form and you have a mind and a heart and a soul, which is your internal. You also have, you know, the biology within you. There you have the chemistry within you, right? So all that is within you. That's your internal universe. And then you are in a world surrounded by all the physical reality that's outside you. And both those things are equally true at the same time. So if you choose to look at your reality very objectively, you'll say, okay, there is the outside and there is the inside, and both are equally true. And eventually it's about understanding the relationship between the two, because for me it is very much that what is within you is what is outside you. Everything outside is a reflection of who you are within.
I found that to be, and I mean, I came across this idea with my now wife. She was my girlfriend back in the day, and she introduced this idea to me. मतलब मेरे को it was not very obvious.
आया प्रखर काफी देर बाद अपनी वाइफ को क्रेडिट देने पे आया. He was like, ये
भाई,
ना इसने
नंबर
मेरे से
भी तो-
लीड ले लिया है, इसने अपनी बीवी की तारीफ
नंबर
कर दी,
भी तो
मैं
बनाने
आऊंगा, मैं आऊंगा.
नंबर नहीं बनाऊंगा तो जूतेगा. No, but I actually do credit her with that, because as a guy, my life's approach was very like static. This is my ambition. I will do anything to get after it. And then this idea that you must shift it and look at it internally, be like, I create this reality inside. I inhabit it, then I act it out, and it slowly starts appearing
That's how
outside.
people express manifesting things.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
This idea was strange to me until I saw some of it happen, and I was like, whoa. And it also does something. क्योंकि अगर मैं उसको अपने काम को purely as a transaction देखता, the outcome also feels transactional. True. But the minute I see it as spirit, as meaning, the outcome becomes so much more enjoyable.
Your experience of it shifts.
Yes, exactly.
Because your perspective of it shifts.
And you think you want the outcome, but in fact, what you want is the experience of it being meaningful in some way.
So it's like, like how they say that what is life? It's actually consciousness experiencing itself from multiple point of views, right? So that's the whole idea of quantum realities,
Consciousness, right? Yeah, quantum
realities,
reality,
right? That everything exists simultaneously at the same time. So if you shift your vibration, if you shift your frequency, automatically your reality and your timeline shifts. So your what is life? Life is your experience of it.
Right.
What you don't experience, you don't see as life.
Right.
So everything that you're consciously aware of is what you're experiencing. What you're not aware of, you're not experiencing.
Right.
It disappears.
It disappears.
The
it
minute
falls
you
somewhere.
focus on something, it's like the split experiment, right? The split particle experiment, which says that a wave turns into a particle when it is observed.
Right.
Which essentially then explains that when you observe or focus on something, only then it comes alive as far as your conscious experience of it is concerned.
Right.
And all that you are aware of is your conscious experience of something. I am seeing you right now and I'm having this conversation. That's my perspective on this conversation. What's going on in your head and what you're seeing of this conversation, what you're taking away from it will be dramatically different.
हाँ, सही बात है.
So like somebody once said that, the version of you that exists in your head is the only version of you that exists in your head. No other version of anybody else's point of view of you is the version that's in your own head. And when you understand that about life, that how I see myself, my lens on myself is only my lens on myself. Everybody else's lens on me is different from how I see myself.
Agree.
Once you understand that, you understand even your own understanding of everything is just yours. And even though everybody else is experiencing you, they see you as a completely different thing from how you see yourself. So then everything is just perspective.
भाई आप पूरा दिन यही सोचते हो?
हाँ ज़्यादातर
No, because it's so interesting that
I've just got obsessed with it. पता नहीं मेरे it's just slowly from a young age I always was very curious about these things and I've just gravitated towards it and it takes a lot of my mind space.
How do you define it? Do you call it spirituality, philosophy? What do you say this is?
Like they say, self-realization before God realization. It's just a realization of self, just trying to understand. And
Life sciences. Is that a fair?
I don't even know what the topic is called.
Maybe it's the science of self. Something like that. I don't know how to describe it either.
I don't know. I just let's just say student of life,
Yeah,
want to
right.
understand things better, open to different point of views, not stuck to any particular subject, find different subjects explaining things in a different way,
And did
giving
that
you
happen?
a wholesome experience and helping you put those small little pieces together and create something that feels right for you.
Did that happen as a function of getting more successful or age or family?
It's been in me since a young age.
ठीक,
I
but-
think it was I think it's what my soul chose for this life. Deep. That's the deeper aspect of me. Of course, there are other very shallower and more like material aspects to me, but I think that's the deeper side to me, and I finally come to accept it, and I'm happy to explore. And like they say in one of the spiritual books it's written, I don't remember which one, so I don't want to paraphrase or say something.
Cause controversy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That do yourself a favor, don't try to understand everything. Life is meant to be lived and not understood. So you understand but also enjoy. You understand, but you also enjoy. That's very important.
It is almost मेरे को किसी somebody I respect very spiritually once told me this, and they were like, "You're very intellectual. This is the stuff that you were saying," and I realized
So am I, by the way. I also am naturally oriented on that side.
I can tell.
Yeah.
I can tell. But when they finished what they were saying, I realized he didn't mean it as a compliment. Like he meant it almost as if like, boss, too much in your head. Get in your body.
Yeah.
Like feel this out more. Knowing it will not reduce the uncertainty of it.
Yeah.
Labeling it and having a word for it is not going to change the experience. It might even prevent the experience from happening fully.
In fact, the most interesting thing is when you talk about what are thoughts, right? What are thoughts?
What are thoughts?
Where do they come from? Are they already in your mind, or is there like a cloud where all these things are hanging and they drop into your head? So that means you didn't cause them to come. Can you predict your next thought?
No.
So then how is it yours?
Right.
It is the ego that makes it feel like it's yours.
Right.
It's actually not yours.
I love Osho's explanation of how at the bottom it's like granular pieces float kar rahe hain, and as they rise they solidify. They get to a point where they become emotion. So you feel it but you don't know it.
Yeah.
Then they become thought when you verbalize it. And so it's this process of the unconscious floating and slowly crystallizing into thoughts and coming up like bubbles on the surface.
And what I'm saying is, it's like the opposite way of putting it, where to say that it drops somewhere from on top. It's like floating around. So I saw this really interesting diagram of consciousness, and I really liked it, of explaining individuals.
Bring it. Please continue.
Which is again, thank you. This cold coffee.
Yeah. You don't want cold?
अभी तो मेरे को बज कर देगी, बट ठीक है, मैं ऑलरेडी बज्ड हो गया. प्रखर
Full
तो बहुत
नशे-
इंटेलेक्चुअल है.
full
I have
नशे
realized that
में
I'm fully like buzzing with you right now. नहीं baby, this. Thank you so much. Thank you. It's perfect. Thank you.
Could I get one more? Could you just tell them one more for me?
मेरी पी ले यार, तू इतनी सारी है.
कोई बात नहीं, पियो. I'll just keep it a little bit here so it's not in frame.
No worries. Whatever works.
माइक को क्या करूँ? थोड़ा पीछे कर लूँ. I'll just pull it. हाँ.
Good.
हाँ.
So I saw this very interesting diagram which defined individuals, human beings, in the physical state that they're in, which you see a straight line and you have these little dots. Okay, these are individuals. Okay, this is your consciousness in the physical form because you are separated by body, right? And then as these things, or rather as consciousness moves upwards, it breaks out like this. So what happens at some point is that there is no difference between you and another conscious mind. Mind is not the right word. Consciousness, I think, is like
Another
different from the
form of
mind,
consciousness, another
which
manifestation.
is essentially who you are, right? Your consciousness,
Right.
essentially, if that's how you choose to look at it, or if you agree with that
Phrasing of it.
phrasing of
Yeah,
it,
yeah,
so to
हाँ,
say,
soul, spirit
is
भी
that
आ
so?
सकता
What
है.
happens is that there's a shared consciousness, which is universal consciousness, and when that gets focused into one singular point, then you have an individual identity. But actually, essentially, all of us are sharing the same thing. This is something that hit me when COVID happened, where I was like, we all share the same air. We are connected in a manner which is so fundamental that we share. तेरे नाक से जो निकल रहा है वही तो मैं सांस ले रहा हूँ, तू और मैं नहीं. गाय भैंस जितने लिविंग जीव जंतु जितने हैं, ये जो पेड़ हैं बाहर, हम सब उसी चीज़ को इनहेल कर रहे हैं. और अब हम मास्क पहन के एक दूसरे से दूर खड़े हैं बिकॉज अनफॉर्चुनेटली और फॉर्चुनेटली, एंड इट स्टिल डजंट हिट अस. और हम ये सोचते रहते हैं कि तू ऐसा है और मैं वैसा हूँ, और ये काला है और ये गोरा है, और ये हिंदू है और ये मुस्लिम है, और every reason to separate yourself from each other, जबकि the nature in itself has connected you at a level कि इस हवा के बिना तो हम सर्वाइव भी नहीं कर सकते मेरे भाई. वो तो ऊपर वाले ने सबको सेम ही दी हुई है, चाहे वो जानवर हो. हर लिविंग ऑर्गेनिज्म को चाहिए ज़्यादातर. I'm not sure.
No, all living organisms require some amount of energy
take your word for
conversion.
it.
I am the science guy.
But broadly,
Bill Nye the science
broadly,
guy.
so that just changed the game for me. I was like, boss, ये क्या चल रहा है, मेरे को समझ में नहीं आ रहा है. अपन ये बॉडी को देख के कंफ्यूज हो गए हैं. बॉस, we are all the same. We are connected in ways we don't truly understand. And that was very profound for me. It hit me deeply.
You know the tragedy of coming from India is that we come from some of the most brilliant spiritual traditions ever. True. Where this realization is, in fact, if you start looking at Indian philosophy, अबे यहाँ पे भी लिखा है, यहाँ पे भी लिखा है, सबको पता है ये बात. But the poverty, the social circumstance of India is such कि जितने लोग सुन भी रहे होंगे ना, for them to truly feel it, they're like, भाई अगले महीने का रेंट तो पे कर दूँ, उसके बाद तो मैं सबके साथ फ्यूज करूंगा स्पिरिचुअली. पहले तो मेरी इंडिविजुअल बायोलॉजिकल नीड्स, मैं सड़क पे जा रहा हूँ, कोई गाड़ी ना मार दे मेरे को, किसी ने चाकू लेके मेरे से चोरी नहीं कर ली. देयर इज ऑल दीज ऑब्स्टिकल्स टू एक्चुअली एक्सपीरियंसिंग आवर ओन ट्रेडिशन, बिकॉज society, circumstance, money is so constrained, and then the fear that everything will slip away. You're one hospital bill away from bankruptcy.
So
one legal-
insecurity.
Yeah, the insecurity
But
of
insecurity, doesn't it stem more from individuality than from feeling like you are supported and you are loved and you're part of a larger community and you're not the only one who has to deal with all your problems? If there is love, if there is acceptance, if there is support, if there is humanity, you have more. And isn't there, and that is when you have to accept and let go of the ego and say that I am not everything, but when I connect with more eyes, we are stronger than I. That's something deep down we all realize.
I think everybody should have a life where they can come to this realization safely. Unfortunately, I don't think a lot of people's circumstances allow them to do that.
I agree.
तो ना मतलब the real robbing of society from the individual, अगर मैं इस पूरी दुनिया को एक spiritual way में देखूँ ना, society has robbed individuals of a spiritual experience by forcing them through this cycle of money making
But
and
society
spending.
is made of individuals.
Sure.
I would not blame society. I would say that it is your own individual choices over a period of time that are now playing out in front of you, whose consequences you didn't completely understand.
Sure.
And now you are feeling like you are a victim, and by doing that, you're separating yourself from everything that is actually trying to teach you something. The obstacle is the path. That is like one of my favorite lines.
Is this Ryan Holiday? Obstacle is the way?
Yes.
Yeah, right.
The obstacle is the way, right? For me, that was so beautiful because, again, coming back to the fact that I am a version of myself today which will evolve to another version tomorrow. And what seems to me to be an obstacle, the minute I rise above it, I will be able to go up beyond it, right? So it's about rising above to be able to see what lies beyond. So the obstacle actually assists you to be a better version of yourself so that you can see what lies beyond the obstacle. So it's an opportunity, right?
I agree. And I think Bandra, I think Greater Kailash, I think these localities can afford this very much. I see it in my father who grew up poor and who made money and got successful in this life.
I am actually of the contrary opinion, by the way.
Acha, tell me why?
I feel that people who are more grassroots realize that much more because they are more connected with nature.
I wonder if it is that they are forced to make peace with that concession.
That's
कि
an
मेरे पास और
intellectual
कुछ-
thought.
Maybe. But I mean, there is no way of knowing what the
The
experience.
spirit of life is above every thought that can be thrown into your head, right? The very faith is everything, man. Love and faith are everything. You remove those two things, life will change drastically.
Yeah.
So for me, I think that is the blood in the veins of humanity is love and faith. Faith is something where you can't have a calculated answer.
Yeah.
It's
वो तो leap है.
It's a leap.
It's a leap, भाई. बिल्कुल सब छोड़ के कूदना ही पड़ता है. श्री राम को याद करके.
Exactly.
और
And
कुछ
the
नहीं बचता.
greatest things are achieved when you have that faith.
And
the
I know that
greatest
exactly.
things, the greatest stories that humanity has heard are based on that leap.
बॉस वो लीप में घुसते हुए डर कितना लग रहा होता है. You are like,
course.
मैं क्या कर रहा हूँ? What am I doing in my life?
Exactly.
Where am I going? And,
Exactly.
You can feel yourself leaping in slow motion and nothing is down there. It's so tricky, particularly as a creative. And this is a question I actually did want to ask you.
It is the observer and the observed effect, right? What you're saying that when you're in the leap, you're observing yourself taking the leap.
Yeah.
So then who is you? Is it the one taking the leap or the one observing you take the leap?
You're the
right?
one who might fall any moment.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
But
Like,
you're also the one observing yourself doing what you're doing,
Yeah.
right? So then the higher aspect of you is the observer that is observing you having the experience that you're having, right?
Right. Yes. Agreed. But
So even if you fall, the observer is still looking, right?
by that nature, almost anything that ever happens, the observer is untouched.
Yeah.
The observer remains pure and behind all of that.
Eternal,
And-
so to say.
Yeah, eternal. And you can see that actually replicated a lot overall. I've also spent. Have you spent some time meditating? No?
Yeah, of course.
Right. I spent some time.
I follow a path which requires me to meditate, so yes.
Acha. How long do you do that? Or like how long have you been doing this?
Depends, yeah. Depends.
Acha. I did a lot of Vipassana in my young years, and
Very
that just
That's crazy.
You can't hide from it. You see that observed, bro. The observed and the observer becomes so clear. Day 3, you're like, भाई 3 दिन से कुछ बोला नहीं है,
Insane.
and that distance appears like this. You're like, huh. And if you try and explain it to somebody who's not experienced that, they don't necessarily land the idea of the observed and the observer very clearly.
Yeah, of course
Because
not.
there has never been separation from
Exactly.
me and myself.
Absolutely.
Right. So
It helps you deal with victim syndrome. The minute you observed effect, the minute you start looking at things like that, and also the minute you start truly considering the possibility of the fact that life is not coming at you, it's coming from you, right? When you start, because it comes to karma, right? If you really believe in karma, otherwise everything is chaos, right? Otherwise there is no equation to anything,
There's no order.
right? There is no order. Everything is happening chaotically, right? And then morality and none of those things have any logic. Then why should I work hard to get successful? Like none of those things matter because there is no equation to anything. It's random, right? Then I should live my life randomly. And we all live in a certain sense of order, questioning order as a concept in itself, questioning karma in itself, even though we live every day
Believing that
कि
it's
मैं
real.
नहाऊंगा तो मैं साफ हो जाऊंगा, नहीं तो मैं
right.
नहाऊंगा ही नहीं तो फिर मैं randomly साफ हो जाऊंगा क्योंकि you know it's not like that. And if you observe nature is like that. You know, things are happening in a very clear order, and possibility of existence in itself is such a miracle that everything has had to happen in a very precise manner for us to be existing in the first place. So existence in itself also, I feel, is so ordained. You know, it's so specific the way that it has happened.
That it seems like it's part
but
of
your
a plan.
experience of it can seem chaotic sometimes.
Right.
You know, something can seem chaotic till you rise above it to understand the pattern. Like अभी तू और मैं यहाँ बात कर रहे, we can't know everything, but अपन ऊपर फ्लोर पे जाके नीचे ऑब्जर्व करेंगे तो सब कुछ समझ में आएगा ना clearly. So it's a matter of
Perspective and all that. Yeah. I actually wanted to ask you this because this is very interesting about your career. Like, there's been several obvious, noticeable ways in which you've evolved, right? Like, started off something, you were a dancer, then you got into acting at a certain kind of roles, and then slowly it's gotten grayer and much more interesting in a certain way. And I feel like because you said earlier, this is something I'm sort of, as I'm evolving in my career, I'm beginning to figure out. Can you do anything to truly figure out who you are, or is this just a myth, modern Instagram?
mean, as an artist, or in what way, or like as a
whichever.
person, like in what way do you mean?
Start with the artist. Maybe that's a simpler answer. क्या करूं? मतलब मैं सब जगह experiment करूं, and then like see what hits.
What just feels deeply satisfying यार.
हाँ.
अंदर खुशी मिलती है जिस चीज से, वो real nourishment only comes from that.
But आपको फिर भी applause तो चाहिए ही ना. Like I will do something that only I want to do. Say I have a conversation with you in Spanish.
So if it is the applause that is not the result of the art that you create, if it's just the result that actually is for you the primary and the most satisfying element of what you do, then you will do whatever it takes to get that applause, and that's your journey. But if you truly love the craft of what you do, and if you have a certain perspective towards it, and if you have a certain desire of what you saw of other people doing and achieving, and the moments that hit you and you fell in love with the medium in itself, which is that of filmmaking and of storytelling and of playing characters and that, then the journey of it is what will satisfy you. So that's again a matter of, am I somebody for whom the process of doing something is actually the most satisfying aspect of it, or regardless of process, the result that I want is actually the most satisfying aspect of it. So that's again a very fundamental thing you need to ask yourself. कि मुझे ना इसके करने में मजा आ रहा है क्या? Is the doing of it actually giving me satisfaction? Therefore I am in love with this and therefore I do this. And of course, because I love this so much, I want it to be appreciated. And the more it's appreciated, the more I feel satisfied. It's like that parent-child dynamic, right? कि मेरे बच्चे को जब लोग मेरे बच्चे के लिए ताली बजाएंगे तो मुझे इतनी खुशी होगी क्योंकि मेरे बच्चे को ताली मिली. So then again, it's you separating from what you're creating, right? It's your creation. But if you want the applause for yourself and it's about the ego, that's a very different thing.
And that actually, my diagnosis of modern Western society and why there is such a breakage in social value is because the parent is not able to put themselves second in front of the kid. And that's a very real threat.
What do you mean? Just explain what you're saying.
Have you seen BoJack Horseman?
No.
So BoJack Horseman is a great animated show about this horseman. He's a horse and a man who is a washed out actor. And now he's getting drunk, slowly spiraling away from his career. And it's dark in its commentary. I remember watching a scene from it where the little BoJack comes in and his mother's on the phone. And he asks his mother for something and the mother asks him to get out. Like she screams at him. And in that moment, what I realized was, if the parent says, बच्चे की need बाद में आएगी, बच्चे की appreciation बाद में आएगी, what the child learns is pretty much that nobody is here to take care of me. And the randomness of this world, the evil of this world, this
क्या हो सकता है, uncertainty of the world hits you very hard. I think what my parents did very well for me, but they were always like, first you, then us. And it's a responsibility they've handed me so that when I have kids, first my kids, whatever it might be, अगर घर में खाना बनाए पहले बच्चों के लिए.
Sure.
Because those first 15-20 years are very impressionable.
Yeah.
And if you feel rejection from your caregiver, God knows what's going to happen to your attachment styles and the way you relate to the world later.
I mean, this is 90% of your personality is formed till the age of 7.
Yeah.
And the rest of your life is a reaction to who you become till the age of 7.
Damn, where
And
did
you
that-
learning, and I don't know, I read
Wow,
it
this is
somewhere.
great, huh?
Yeah. It's like, and then it's about you, because see, till the age of 7, your ability to analyze, your ability to understand things is very basic. So whatever happens in your life, you're not able to process it completely, but you're emotionally evolved enough to react to it. So you react to it emotionally. That reaction becomes a pattern,
Behavior,
and that
huh?
pattern becomes your personality. So your personality, who you see yourself as fundamentally,
कि मैं तो ये हूँ.
कि मैं ये बंदा हूँ, मुझे ना जल्दी गुस्सा आ जाता है, मुझे ना मैं बहुत कम रोता हूँ, मुझे ना पूरे टाइम खाने का मन करता है, whatever else it is, मैं ना बड़ा एथलेटिक हूँ. ये सारी चीज़ें जो होती हैं आपकी, ये 7 साल की उम्र तक काफ़ी हद तक फॉर्म हो जाती हैं. So that's what your definition, your image of yourself is based on that. You look at yourself as that, but it's actually just a collection of patterns which were based on your reactions at a time when you were unable to completely process, but you had the ability to emotionally experience.
Very interesting.
So as you grow older and you have a more mature, a more evolved understanding of things, as opposed to going outside to process what's happening in the world, if you go within to process who you are and why you are, it helps you become who you choose to be, as opposed to, so it's about gaining control. It's about saying that the power is with me. I can choose to be who I want to be. I am not a victim of my circumstances. And when you start doing that, I think your life becomes more yours. Truly.
The other part of that, what you just said, is also then key. A lot of people's lives are defined by childhood traumatic events and scars.
Yeah, of course. All our lives. Traumatic or non-traumatic. Doesn't matter.
Right. Sure,
You know,
maybe it's
those
not
are your
as serious.
formative years.
Right.
मतलब आप तो कोरे कागज की तरह पैदा होते हो ना, तो the first impressions are the deepest ना. उसके बाद तो मतलब बेसमेंट और ग्राउंड फ्लोर तो बन गया ना. अब मैं 40वें फ्लोर पे रह रहा हूँ. मैं अभी आई एम 44 years old. आई एम लिविंग ऑन द 44th फ्लोर. कुछ ना प्रॉब्लम हो रहा है रोज, बिल्डिंग ना मेरी ठीक से 44th फ्लोर में ना इलेक्ट्रिसिटी जा रही है, कुछ प्रॉब्लम हो रहा है, और मैं ना पूरे घर के वायर्स खोल चुका हूँ और मेरे को प्रॉब्लम ही नहीं मिल रहा है, क्योंकि प्रॉब्लम तो बेसमेंट में था ना. तो जो वायर मेरा फ्यूज़ हो रहा है वो तो बेसमेंट में, जब मैं 1 साल का था तब हुआ था ना. तो जब तक मैं बेसमेंट में पहुंच के उसको वहाँ फिक्स नहीं करूँगा, 44th फ्लोर पे तो वो वायर ऑन ऑफ वो लाइट ऑन ऑफ होती रहेगी ना.
Right.
एंड दैट्स व्हेन यू डोंट अंडरस्टैंड हाउ टू फिक्स समथिंग व्हिच यू आर trying very consciously to fix, but you're being unable to fix it.
Because you're solving it at the level of symptom.
You're solving at the level of in the moment in time which you're in,
Right, sure.
as
44th
opposed to
floor
going
pe.
बाck in time.
Right.
So when I say floors, I'm literally saying years of your age, for example, right? जो आपके पहले 7 साल में, वो तो बिल्डिंग का बेस है ना.
Right.
तो अगर आप उस पर्सपेक्टिव से, just a way of saying it, maybe I didn't come across well, but some things are deeply inset. And those patterns, and I feel that for a lot of men in their 40s that does happen. It's happened for me. A lot of self-introspection and trying to go back and see why I'm being unable to change something. Why is it coming back again and again?
Has
I
it been
don't want
interesting?
it to. Huh?
Has it been interesting going in?
Crazy. It's
Right?
been life-changing, man.
You're like, ये सब मेरे साथ.
And
oh
I
my God.
still feel it's like it's tough, but that's where it's at, man.
And you see yourself so objectively also, because you're like, यार ये unhealthy pattern, ये क्यों है? And like, कहाँ pick up कर
And
लिया
why am I
इसको?
not able to change it?
Yeah.
ये क्या है? Because then I have no power over myself. ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए यार.
Right.
You know, so it empowers you. But it's a deep search. Some people might need family to talk to. Some people can do deep personal search. Sometimes you might want to go to somebody who has the experience to give you perspective on it.
Right.
But it's so fundamental.
I've been doing this crazy thing with my artificial intelligence, whichever one I use. And what I do is, I put low-level anxiety thoughts as just an archive. कि मेरे को ऐसे ना ऐसा लग रहा है, just save it here, just speak it into this, and in the process of speaking, put words to it. And then later I'll be like, analyze what I'm doing wrong. And the feedback you get, sometimes you're like, wow bro, मेरे को तो ये irrational loop है, मेरे को मालूम ही नहीं था कि मेरा इस चीज को एसोसिएटेड एक डर है जिसका कोई वजह नहीं है, ये मेरी क्वालिटी ऑफ लाइफ डेली आके इम्पैक्ट करता है. माई फियर फॉर माई पेरेंट्स हेल्थ, आई हैव नो रीजन टू फियर फॉर इट राइट नाउ. It comes in and it messes with my head daily, and I would not have even noticed it had I not articulated it.
You know what the full form of fear is, right? False evidence appearing real.
Is this one of those WhatsApp forwards from the early 2000s?
No, but it's true. Because most of the times, your fear never comes true. 90% of the thoughts that are made of fear that have popped up as a possibility that might happen, plane starts shaking, hum sab marne wale.
Oh, bhai.
You've sat in, I'm giving a very broad example.
Yeah,
ठीक
you're
है?
right.
You've sat in plane. I have had issues with flying. मेरे को डर लगता था planes में. तो it's like every time you feel मरने वाले भगवान का नाम लो, and every time you've landed.
Yeah.
So how was it real?
Right.
It was real in your head.
Yeah.
Because you chose to believe that it's going to happen. It actually never happened. So it's kind of true.
Yeah, and I mean the statistics of it, none of that matters. When the turbulence hits, you're like सब बातें बेकार है, मैं तो भाई.
और मतलब जिस पायलट से बात करो ये बोलता है टर्बुलेंस में कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है. टर्बुलेंस इज जस्ट ड्राइविंग ऑन अ बैड रोड. इट्स वन ऑफ द सेफेस्ट थिंग्स. But if one engine fails, I don't think I'll get as scared as if I hit a bad patch of turbulence. You know?
Right.
And in fact, like I always use that as an example also for like when you're talking about traumatic experiences or, you know, when you dealt with something that was, stronger than what you were ready to deal with, you know, that's when trauma happens, right? When you're unable to cope,
Right,
you know, it's
right,
beyond you.
Right.
You know, otherwise we all try to go through things, right? But sometimes it's just too much and you collapse in front of it, right? And that's what causes that traumatic experience because you can't accept collapse, you know, which is okay. It's okay. You know, that's also part of life. It's like when you go through turbulence, okay? And when turbulence happens, you hold on to the seat like this and the turbulence goes away, but it's still sitting like this. All you need to do is relax.
And you're just stuck like this.
Turbulence is gone.
Yeah.
Now you're choosing to hold on to that memory.
Right.
And you're just stiff and stuck because of that memory.
And once in a while the wind blows and you just...
Yes, and you feel there's still turbulence. Because mentally you're stuck in that headspace because it scared you so much. And the minute you relax your mind, you realize that was a phase in my life. That phase is gone. And I'm still reacting to things out of my own reaction to that situation. And I am processing things as bad, which are actually good. People who might want to be helpful, I'm pushing them away because I am afraid about that one experience that I had where that one person gave me a shitty experience.
Yeah.
And now somebody else, I'm seeing them and trying to find the same patterns that I saw in that person. And I'm drawing that picture in my head and throwing this person away. I'm not giving them a real shot. Relationships, you know, family,
100%.
it happens.
Yeah.
You know, so you are holding on to something that has already left you.
The greatest tragedy that can happen from a heartbreak is that you never learn to love again.
True.
Because, I mean, the experience...
But the beauty of that, there is always beauty in everything. That means you did truly love.
Yeah, right. But, like, somebody had once asked me...
कैसे बोल दिया था? Yeah, right. वो छोड़. Pain समझ.
पहले दर्द समझो.
Don't worry. और भी इसी के बारे में.
फिर पहले दर्द समझो, फिर दर्द को फील करो एक्सपीरियंशियली, फिर ब्यूटी आता है. बट नो, बिकॉज यू नो, अब जो हो गया वो हो गया ना.
There can be no feeling where there is no love, brother. That is the sad part of life. You cannot hate something that you haven't loved. Even hate comes from love.
Sure. Love.
You can't hate something that is not either contrary to what you love. Either it has to be a complete contrast to what you love. And
You
therefore
can be
reject it.
afraid of something you don't love.
Interesting question. Not thought about it.
हाँ, hate and love are the same thing, just valence is difference. It's like nervousness and excitement, same thing, valence is different. I think fear and shame and pride are the same thing.
Fear comes from lack of knowledge. Fear only comes from things that you don't know about.
Yeah, uncertainty.
Largely, I feel.
हाँ, वो अंधेरे में ना हम इमेजिन कर लेते भूत है, वो अंधेरा दिखता है. हाँ.
I feel बचपने में तो वही होता है कि आपका पहला डर वो होता है कि आपको पता नहीं वहाँ क्या है. And अंधेरा is essentially symbolic for not knowing.
That's it. And therefore imagination.
And
therefore imagination, therefore
Worst
death,
case scenario.
whatever कि मेरे को consume कर लेगा अंधेरा somehow.
And there are a lot of people I've seen, some of the most successful people always imagine the best when they don't know. You know, and there are some who imagine the worst. I am very much an example of that worst case scenario person who is working very hard to stop that pattern and change it.
I actually did this also. I said to my GPT, I said, let's run a worst case simulation. And then let's go all the way. Let's habituate ourselves to क्या हो जाएगा. And after you do it, you're like, अबे मैं ज़्यादा stress ले रहा हूँ भाई, इतना तो कुछ बुरा होना भी नहीं है. Just the fact of bringing it to your consciousness.
Not, bro, eventually it's about trust.
Right.
If you can trust, what are you protecting yourself from?
Failure, tragedy.
If you can trust
Huh.
that everything that's coming to you is an opportunity to be a better version of yourself, if you can trust that the universe only sends you what can help you become a better version of yourself, it's really about how you look at the experience of life itself. If you think, and I have been through that, and I still would say a part of me is that person who looks at life like some shit's gonna come my way and I have to be prepared to handle it. If that is my predisposition towards life every morning I wake up, then more of that will happen. If I wake up every morning saying today is a great day and all the problems of yesterday are yesterday's and today is going to be a new experience, I'm going to experience the day differently. And it's just literally the preset with which you choose to start every day.
Fantastic.
Just changing that preset will make a unbelievable difference, because eventually life is energy. And the thing with energy is that resonance is only shared between things which are at the same frequency. And the thing with manifestation is, do you know that a bumblebee, for example, can't fly physically? And you know it doesn't fly, it levitates. Because it's not able to raise itself, because it's so big, the wings are not strong enough to raise. There is a cavity inside a bumblebee, which when it starts flapping its wings, it creates a resonance of sound. And the reason the bumblebee rises is because its resonant frequency matches the frequency of its surroundings. So it starts levitating. And therefore, when a bumblebee flies through like a wind at 50 kilometers per hour, it can fly straight through it. The wind will not move it left or right, because it's not flying, it's literally levitating. It has an energy field around it.
That's
the
factually
power.
accurate?
I think so.
Damn, that's a crazy. I
I
never
think so.
saw.
I might be making a complete fool of myself, but I
But
saw
the
it
symbolic point is delivered.
no, but this is something that I read as a scientific fact, and I tried to I checked it
Regardless.
2-3 times. But that is the power of manifestation, that you can defy physics. You can defy your very being. You can defy gravity. So I just find it as like a beautiful analogy for life. Like if you truly put your energy to the degree of your desire, you can change reality. I truly believe in it conceptually, and I am somebody who's driven by philosophy as a leading way of defining reality. Like I feel like I look at life like that. I choose to look at life like that. I don't let what is happening limit my kind of perspective towards what is possible. What is possible should not be based on what I have evidence of. Possibility has to be beyond just evidence. That is the spirit of life, and that's the way you should live. I don't know logically if that makes sense or not, but my energy connects with that thought.
Interesting.
When you say interesting,
Yeah,
what does
no.
that really mean? Are you rejecting it?
No, I'm not rejecting it.
You can. I just want to know what it means. When you say
Well-
interesting, is it something that's far away and you want to process it? Is that how it feels?
No, it is literally interesting.
Do you need fact to accept anything? Is that the kind of...
No. I'm absolutely not in rejection of it. I am in fact fascinated by the fact that it's interesting to me how, when I get a window into your mind, what is the operating system behind you? That's what's very interesting, because what I'm realizing is that a lot of how you live, maybe it's just that you were primed by Mira or something कि ये तो ऐसे spiritual सवाल पूछेगा तो इसको spiritual जवाब देना. But if this is who you are, then it also begs the question, boss,
तो
you are...
spiritual सवाल पूछता है ऐसे काफी सारे,
नहीं
है ना?
नहीं
मैंने
पूछता.
देखा नहीं, देखो तो कभी पूछता है.
मेरे को लगता है कौन हैंडल
तो
करेगा.
अगर ऐसा मीरा बोलती तो मैं भी तेरे शोज देख चुका हूँ यार. ऐसा नहीं है
हाँ,
कि
ठीक है,
सिर्फ,
ठीक
so-
है.
No, not
No,
at all.
because why I'm saying this is, boss, you're in the industry जहाँ what watch you're wearing, what car you're coming in, it's like night and day. To think of life in a philosophical sense and then be part of a film industry that's predicated upon.
But that is what human potential is, buddy. That is what we keep living in a single dimensional understanding of who we are. It's not. We are, look at the world around you. It's 360. It's all around you.
Right.
It's a sphere. You can experience things 360. So there can be so many aspects to yourself that you can tap into, and they don't have to go hand in hand. And it's okay to be like that as a person. So this is one aspect of me. and that's another aspect of me, and both are equally true for me.
Right.
You know, and I feel like for many years in your life you want to belong to one thing, and if you feel that'll give you acceptance and that'll help you understand where you belong, it'll give you a community. But you can be a part of multiple communities. You don't have to be tied down to just one color. There can be many colors to your personality, you know, and they can be contrasting colors. And sometimes contrasting colors are the most interesting offsets, you know. So that's life.
Do you want to talk about your movie at all?
I have other ways to talk about my movie. Don't worry.
No, because I asked you.
Maybe some more popular ways of talking about it.
Shit.
I'm just saying.
यहाँ पे मैं सुन नहीं रहा
It's
तो
very
कोई भी बात
sweet
कर
of
देता
you.
हूँ।
It's very sweet of you to bring up the movie.
यहाँ पे मैं
It's
कुछ
very
सुन नहीं
sweet
रहा
of you.
मेरे को तो।
But I don't know if people on your show will even be interested. You know, I think people on your show are more interested in these kind of things.
Yeah.
Which are more conversational and not like a marketing tool for something.
No,
You know,
no,
so
and
even
that's
though
true.
I end up doing these things sometimes around my movies because it's just, you know, you just get into a space of creating a calendar where you can do some of these things. Otherwise, like when I get into a role, I just get consumed and I stay in that space. But you know, I'm not. You don't have to. You know, this is. I'm actually enjoying this conversation, and the reason to come into this room was because I've heard you talk. I found your conversations interesting, and I wanted to engage with you and just see what happens. And whatever conversation comes up, that was the agenda. You know, so I'm happy to. Whatever.
I'm not bringing the movie up because as a matter of fact, if you come here, people will know. Like that's
Yeah, of
not.
course. Yeah.
I'm actually bringing this up because first of all, I should tell you, I barely follow the movies. Now that I'm somewhat part of the industry, I have a rough sense of what is happening here and there, but I don't remember.
Were you growing up? Did you like movies, or you're not
For a
someone
while.
who went to the theaters?
No,
much?
for a while.
And then those romantic ones.
They kind of pissed me off eventually,
off.
where I was like, anybody born in the late 90s and then grew up in the early 2000s, we got force-fed this idea of love through movies.
Yeah.
Even if the movies were not trying to do that, eventually it
Is
just...
that your biggest kind of
that was
issue
one.
with it?
Now, I can actually tell you...
You felt it made a false promise to you, and that created issues
or
for you
that
later?
it's cartoonish. It's just not real enough. So we grew up during the fantasy time of Bollywood. Yeah. For us, the big break was Gangs of Wasseypur because it was suddenly realism, and even if it had its share of gore or whatever, we were like, we'll ignore this because at least this is real.
Your kind of guy, right? I mean, because when I debuted, that's all that was happening, and that's why this whole chocolate boy thing, and that's why the Kamines and the Haidars and the Urta Punjabs, and that's why that attempt to go in that direction. Because I also didn't want to be defined or saw cinema as just a vehicle to tell love stories which are flighty and fake. Right? Of course, that's a great aspect of Hindi cinema.
Right.
I think we do it better than most parts of the world. Some Korean stuff is also quite interesting in that space. It's a genre that we do really well, and there's also music and dance and this entire promise of this quintessential love, right? And I think that's fantastic. It's a good thing to put out there because otherwise there is so much darkness around it that in itself can also be negative, right? So it's good to have that. But I also felt that that's all that was happening. And it was very frustrating for me as an actor. And because I looked like I had a boyish face, I didn't have a very manly, hard, unconventional, different kind of face. Nobody gave me an opportunity at a role which really had the, you know, the acting kind of the gravitas in it, or the edge in it, or the grayness of life in it, you know, that I pushed very hard to do those films. It was really it was like, go to hell, I'm not going to be defined by what you want to define me as. So I probably was somebody who felt the same as you felt and needed to do other things to feel like I was truly doing something.
Was there a movie that defined you in your early part of the career? Was it Jab We Met? Kamine. But before that, when you were like chocolate boy, tab Jab We Met tha?
Jab We Met, yes. Jab We Met as a film is a great film. And of course, it was a character which gave me a little more than just being a chocolate boy, because it started with a guy who's suicidal. And then, you know, so there was some graft to the character.
Right.
There was some second layer to the character. Otherwise, it's all like, you know,
right,
fluff.
It's one of the few movies where the love story is justified. Where I'm okay with the fact as a consumer ki theek hai, this is about a love situation, but the way these characters are evolving and all the mess that is happening, I'm okay with it. When I'm not okay with it is ki this movie is about let's say some spy or some shit, like spy movies are prominent right now, but whatever. But उसमें अब वो love घुसड़ा हुआ है. And I'm like, क्यों मेरे को distract करके इस गाने पे ले गए? Take the story forward ना. But the economics is such. I also feel because until then, most of India was still suppressing love in many ways. Romance was not accessible to most of India until maybe more recently. Even now, it is probably not. Most people get married through arranged means and whatever.
This is all your perspective on it. Huh? This is not reality, essentially. This is how you're seeing it.
Yeah. I know. This is how I'm seeing it. I'm completely okay with that because you see, even if my friends who are urban, whatever, are allowed to date and experience love, when it comes to marriage, they suddenly start going the different direction. So this wild
You mean arranged marriage?
arranged marriage, right? And what it does is it just hides that part of life where you chase love. And so when the movies showed that, I think it allowed people to now, when I'm more mature, I can sort of have sympathy for those movies. कि अच्छा ये ना लोगों को explore करने दे रहा है.
I have this like a very insider mindset towards it, and my insider mindset is a very professional point of view. There is this strange thing that, see, there is content and then there is a potency of that content. How well done is it? It's like you eat Rajma Chawal, you can have it in 10 places. But there's that one place which makes that Rajma Chawal where you want to go again and again and have that bloody Rajma Chawal. And that cook is the guy who made Rajma Chawal sacrosanct for you. कि भैया इससे better dish नहीं है. किसी खराब कुक ने वही डिश बनाई होती तो राजमा चावल तेरी फेवरेट डिश कभी नहीं होती. ठीक है. सिनेमा में भी यही होता है. देयर आर जॉनर्स एंड देयर आर डेकेड्स इन विच देयर आर 3, 4, 5 फिल्म मेकर्स हु मेक द बेस्ट वर्जन ऑफ दैट जॉनर. And then there are the people who then try to chase them and make more of that. So they become the trend setters. And because most filmmakers tend to kind of do one genre, and they hone that genre, and then they kind of become more skilled at that genre. And because those filmmakers have told those stories in a certain way which has had a certain impact on the audience craves more of those. And then the industry senses that and starts making more of those. And then for 10 years, you're only being fed that one dish. Right? And then there's a new crop of filmmakers who come and start hitting another genre well. And then suddenly that genre becomes the flavor of the season. And all the followers, all the sheep who are following the lion are ये बनाओ. Right? And so as an audience, you're getting a barrage of the same thing.
We are inundated.
And some great versions and then some really bad versions.
Yeah, right.
And because you saw 3 good ones, you give 10 bad ones an opportunity. By the time you're done with the 10th bad one, you're hating everything about the genre.
Yeah.
So I feel from a professional standpoint, I've noticed, because as an actor, I'm always trying to see how do I keep doing different things and new things. And also, it's a journey of understanding that what I set out to make, why did it not land the way that I thought it did? And then you understand, because eventually it comes down to how well it's made. And that really comes down to the story and the filmmaker. So the writing and the perspective and the point of view of how that story needs to be told. And that's where the experience for the audience largely comes from.
That actually
It's
makes
very
a lot of sense.
different perspective.
No, I think it actually makes a lot of sense.
Because we always, in this country, and maybe worldwide also, I don't know, but we always, एक बार एक चीज चल गई ना तो सब बस वही करते रहो यार. तो वो क्रिएटिविटी की मौत है. क्रिएटिविटी वहां से आती है जहां वो पहला फिल्म मेकर, जब सिर्फ एक्शन फिल्में चल रही थी, उस पहले फिल्म मेकर ने बोला लेकिन मैं तो लव स्टोरी बनाऊंगा भैया. और वो इतना ज़्यादा प्रेशर में था कि बॉस सिर्फ एक्शन चल रहा है कि उसने इतना अपने आप को घुसा के वो लव स्टोरी बनाई कि वो उतनी अच्छी बन गई. फिर एक नया ट्रेंड स्टार्ट होता है. तो ये होता है बहुत यार.
This is probably the supply side. This is probably a
the
very
supply
fair,
chain kind of.
The supply side economics is this.
Yeah.
The demand side economics. Why
Demand
something
drives
works.
supply actually.
Huh.
But a truly creative person changes demand.
I also think from the demand side, the audience is ready for evolving. Like,
what is eventually imagination तो तेरी भी है ना.
हाँ ठीक.
मैं तुझे आज एक स्क्रिप्ट सुनाऊं तो एक कहानी इमेजिन करेगा. फिर कल को तूने वो फिल्म आके देखी, मैंने बनाई, और तू देख के बोला यार इससे अच्छी तो मैंने इमेजिन कर ली थी यार, ये बंदे ने क्या बनाया. खत्म हो गया ना गेम. बट अगर मैं तुझे दिखाऊं और तू बोले ब्रो what did you do? Like this is way beyond what I could have ever imagined, right? Then for you, that person is on a pedestal because his creativity is beyond your imagination. So the best filmmakers are those who are able to create way beyond the imagination of somebody who could have thought of the same story. When they are giving you an experience which is beyond, like for example, when I saw Titanic for the first time, it did that for me.
Right.
You know, when I saw Avatar, the first one, I was like, boss, ye kya hai? Right? So that is actually the
benchmark. मैं समझ गया.
epitome of calibered craft and creativity. When you go to a great hotel, for example, you know, you're like, bro, like, क्या किया है यार?
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
When you go to a musical concert and you're like, ये क्या बजा रहा है भाई? ये wow, you know?
Right.
फिल्में भी वैसी होती हैं. You have to give people that experience. You give them that experience and they'll hold you, you know, they'll hold you up for that.
And so what is new?
And a lot of films are not doing. They're like literally like, you're like, इससे अच्छा तो मैं सोच लेता यार. People are saying that for actors, people are saying that for writers, for the way stories are being written, people are saying that for, so many things. Filmmakers ये कैसे बना दिया,
Right.
So you have to accept that eventually it's about caliber. You can tell a very commercial, very typical, like you're saying, frothy film in a very, very calibered way. And you can make a very intellectual, very deep film in a very amateurish and bad manner.
Right.
So caliber of craft is very different from genre and sensibility and aesthetic. These are all different things. Caliber is different, genre is different, aesthetic is different.
I'm thinking of it as like, you want to bring the coffee? Yeah, come. Mira. I was thinking of it kind of like ki genre being the flavor and then the potency being the caliber. Is that X and Y axis वाला? मतलब कि आप genre कोई भी ले सकते हो, but the potency
Genre
varies.
is
with
flavor
caliber.
of, let's say, ice cream.
Right,
Genre is
right,
flavor of ice cream.
कितना flavor है वो caliber हो जाएगा.
Caliber is how well that ice cream has actually, how well that flavor and how much it's hitting.
Yeah.
I don't know, like it's difficult because वो आइसक्रीम और ये फिल्में हैं तो शायद हम ज़्यादा ही ट्राई कर रहे हैं. But
थोड़ा simplification
ज़्यादा simplification हो रहा है.
ऐसे क्यों कर रहे हैं हम?
But broad strokes.
हाँ, right.
Broad
Got it. And so I was not actually doing this for the sake of talking about this. I'm genuinely interested. After having heard everything you've said, how is it that you're bringing newness into this film or the next film? Like, what is a good enough reason for me to be like, this one I want to watch?
I read one very interesting interview of Leonardo DiCaprio where he said that if I read a script for the first time and I know what I want to do with the character, I say no. Because it means it's within my comfort zone. But when I don't know what to do,
Right.
I'm interested.
Right. And you're very
I
infamous
found
for
that
having
very
grey
interesting.
characters,
I
na?
found that very interesting.
Yeah.
And it stayed with me. That it must be outside your comfort zone. Sometimes I'll be able to do it, sometimes maybe I'm not. But that is the inherent desire to be able to, to be able to climb a new peak and not to go back, climb the same peak because I can climb it even if nobody else can, but I climb this peak, so I'm like there has that exploration and that fear of the unknown. Very important.
Okay. And so this one is that for you artistically?
With Vishal sir, it always is. With
Seems
Vishal
like
sir,
it.
it's always a journey. Having said that, you have to find or at least look for new ways of doing something. Because my part is not... See, what's written is written by the writer. Na? What is written differently, if I perform it the way I always perform, it will seem different because fundamentally it's written differently. So you'll receive it as the story first, right? But which is also what happens with a lot of actors, is that they do similar acting but play different characters and do different genres. So they look like they're doing different work. But there are actors who will take the same genre and can do it differently. And then that's actually your craft. Because you are bringing something new to it. So sometimes it's like this and sometimes it's like that. Sometimes you are seeing something and you're saying, okay, 5 years back I did it like this. Will I do it the same way if I do it now? Then I haven't grown. But if something similar 5 years later, and if I can bring something new to it, it's damn exciting.
Very interesting.
It's very exciting. Because it's like, I have changed. That's not changed, but I have changed. So I can bring something new to it. That's another thing that is interesting and you can explore and play with that.
Well, Shahid, thanks, man. I mean, very rarely do I have conversations where I have to say very interesting so often. Generally, I'm in my head being like, kya bol raha hai? But
That's what I was wondering.
do my eyes not give it away? As a matter of fact, no, I think it's so interesting no matter where I try to go in the conversation or what my curiosity was and how much a lot of this leads to the way you see life, philosophy or spirituality or student of life or whatever you might want to call it.
Life is always a good way of putting it.
Yeah, and then thinking about even like how you approach acting or how that part happens, because I can speak for the demand side. The supply side is so interesting and new and almost unheard of. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. We are kind of running out of time. I know you have to be somewhere, I have to be somewhere. Is there a question you have for me or something maybe that's left unsaid?
Yeah. I mean, what would you take away from this conversation that's new and different from whatever you might have had in the past? That will be a lovely walk away thing for me to hold on to, because I know you've had so many meaningful conversations and so many different subjects in which you have explored that that would make me feel like, okay, there was this one new thing that Prakhar kind of maybe took away. That'll be lovely.
I think personally, after a certain while, if you spend enough time doing what I do, or like even reading or watching enough, you rarely hear something that's fantastically novel. That never happens, right? It's generally a repackaging of something you've heard before, but said in a new way or said at a new time, right? And said in a place where you kind of needed that and that kind of stuff. I think I'm in a part of my creative process where, very similar to what you were saying, I wanted to break away from some of the molds that I was being put in. And not only that, it just did not feel creatively satisfying only working for the applause and not for my artistic self. And now as I move in that direction, it involves creative risk, career risk, financial risk, and all these other things. And what will stick with me from this conversation is the insistence on faith and how it feels. The brief moment we were talking about, tu ud raha hai, and niche dekh sakta hai, you're like, fuck, this is all probably like I might fall. But there is only one way out. Sometimes I describe my present moment to people around me as walking through a dark cave and literally being deep inside it, such that you can't even walk back. Like, I was saying this to Clau yesterday. I was like, I feel like I left the shore and now going back is stupid, so I just can only go forward. And in those moments, faith is a very interesting conversation to have. Talking about how your internal reality matches your external reality. How if you preset your day with, shit, I have problems to solve, then more problems will come. But if you look at it as a beautiful day of adventure, more adventures will come. This kind of stuff is great for me today. And I think this will stay with me. But it depends on what I talk in the next conversation. Because that might just override the whole thing.
Well, till our next conversation.
Brother. You are everything that your wife says you are. You are probably everything that the media says you are too, barring some of the bad stuff I'm sure that follows. But thank you so much for this fantastic conversation. I really appreciate your time and patience.
No, I enjoyed it very much.
Thank you, my brother.
Thank you.
You're
so
great.
much. This was a
Appreciate
great
it.
conversation.